Hi, my name is Dr. Cheryl Meier, and I am a psychologist and also transitioning into life coaching so that I can reach people more globally. Because in the state of California, I can only, as a psychologist, I'm licensed only in the state of California. So it's been limited. And now that we're having all these experiences, people are moving a lot more online. So anyway, what I have to teach today is something that's like priceless. I don't even know if I had to put it in a video. I was debating about that earlier. But here goes, okay? And this is from my own life experience and experience with the knowledge I have as a psychologist, with the experience I have of growing up with a narcissist, what I experienced as a narcissist as a parent. And then how it shows up in relationships with other people. It shows up in your friendships and your dating relationships and your marriages and whatever other work relationships, whatever else you're in. So let's just get right to it. First, it's important to understand that you have the capacity to know who you are, to get in your being state, to know that you are more than just your mind and your body, and some people say three-part person: mind, body, spirit, or soul. So you are a soul. George MacDonald says it like that. You are a soul in a human body. So let's just take a second to be present. I'm going to do this too with you, because this is what's going to make all the difference in the world. One down. Just take a few deep breaths. And know you are the observer, observing your thoughts, experiencing what's going on. You don't have to buy into your thoughts or be invested in them, or it's so weird. It's like I keep getting distracted by other noises that are going on right now, and I'm wondering, why am I so, maybe triggered or tapped into them or upset by them or whatever. Okay, so here it is like I had a desire. This is my house. I wanted it to be quiet, but I have people working right now, and I left the window open because the breeze was amazing this morning. And so there's a car, And so what happens is there are extraneous thoughts and experiences and happenstances and situations going on around us. I have the dog that wanted to come in and sit on my lap this morning. And what can happen with our thoughts is that we have lots of programming, lots of thoughts that we learned from our parents. Like if I learned how to be a woman from watching my mom, and how to have the masculine side from watching my dad, and how my dad interacted with my mom and how they interacted with each other. Now there's construction. So this is like what goes on with our thoughts. I could just tune into the construction sound. I could just turn into the sound of the birds earlier, or to the guy skateboarding I'm guessing it's a guy, maybe it's a girl. Or to the person working in my house, you know, that I love. It's great work that's getting done. Or to the dog. If all of those, let's say, were a different aspect of me, like if we're in a matrix, and those are all me, they'll all say, I am Cheryl, I am Cheryl, I am you, I am me, I am me. And actually, we can learn how to be the observer, the one behind all of this, that's watching all of that, and that chooses where do I put my attention. But I want to put this back into relationships. And in a relationship, I look at relationships as threefold, like a relationship with yourself, a relationship with the divine, and a relationship with other people. Your relationship with yourself, and who is the self, is what we were just talking about. I am the awareness. I am the soul in this body. I like talking in nature too, you know, because nature, it just can ground us, but it also has all these things going on. You know, I saw a bobcat the other day when I was out there, or a snake, or a deer, or what's it? You know. So anyway, though, back to observing your relationship with yourself, and I won't be so scientific, is basically, you know, I had all these amazing experiences this past weekend, like incredible, like, but then I also had some really low moments where I was bawling my eyes out, and I felt like, why are we here? And all the existential questions, and, you know, heard news from someone else about another person passing, taking their own life. So I won't go into the details of that right now, because I don't know how public that is, or how many years has passed since you're watching this video, or if it's just out right now. So it doesn't matter the details. It's just understanding. I was wanting to understand, how do we get to those kinds of states where we just feel so helpless, and how do we get out of those states? And so, because I got into this deep sadness, I'm in a transition in my life, and something happened that triggered me into a deep sadness again, and remind me of my childhood when I was in that deep sadness. This other person I heard of, I think there were like 2 different 13-year-olds that were going with this, that were having these kinds of experiences. And this is happening. A lot of people are isolated right now when I'm recording this. And so these thoughts are coming up. And so if you grow up with a narcissist, they do derive power, and this is unconscious, okay? They do derive power from defining your worth, from putting you down, from manipulating you, and subtly or not so subtly putting you down, and you know, pretending like, well, they don't know their own worth, and so they'll look down on you if you're not giving them what they call narcissistic food, propping them up, making their egos feel better, because they're all in their egos. Then you're deemed as worthless, and so you can start hearing the messages that you're worthless. That has nothing to do with your true worth. It has to do with how they're perceiving your worth, because they don't know about their own presence, okay? So what I was just talking about at the beginning of this is presence changes everything. Look, be present, stay present, in presence. I have this everywhere, all over my house right now, because it's like a muscle that you can exercise. And wherever you are, like when you're about to start your car and drive somewhere, just stop, get in your body and go, am I present? Sometimes I say in my other videos that are in nature, like, look at the wind and the trees, watch that for a second. Feel your 5 senses, you know. Oh, look. Yeah, it's very windy, and there's some kind of fire somewhere. I smell it outside, but I haven't looked at the news yet today. And so you connect with your senses, and you you connect with where you are in your body right now. Get rooted. Some people call it rooted. Anyway, presence changes all of what I'm talking about. It's only because I've developed more presence inside my inner being and seeing myself as the observer, as really not just seeing myself as that, because it's easy to just talk. It's like experiencing myself as the soul in this body. And so as I have more presence, I can go and deal with darker things or things that I wanted to avoid before because I didn't have enough wherewithal. I didn't have enough, you call it like soul substance built up within me. This is how I'm perceiving it. So now I do, and I can see these things on a completely different level, like on a level where I'm on like the 15th floor looking at things, or the top of the building instead of the 3rd floor. Right here, I'm looking like this and things feel overwhelming. And if I'm looking up here, then I can see them from a different perspective. And then I get more clarity and more healing. Actually, I can have healing because I have enough presence to be able to feel these feelings that I've been avoiding. So going back into this idea of sadness and a narcissist gets their worth from putting you down and making you feel like you're worthless, so that you depend on the narcissist, because they get their worth from people, from manipulating. And a lot of this is unconscious, from getting adulation from people and adoration. And, you love me, don't you? You need me, your life would be nothing without me, type of thing. And so what happens though is, as a kid, I'm only speaking from experience, not from all the textbooks and stuff right now. So just as a person having this experience, is you can have this sense that you aren't worth and you're expendable and you're just an object, and you have to work really hard to prove your worth, and you have to earn it, and you have to do all this extra work to please people and make them feel good about themselves. And on the one side, you guys know from my videos, I learned how to encourage people and how you can access your true worth from me not knowing my true worth, and having to learn it, having to start all over myself and learn where my real worth comes from. It doesn't come from a narcissist. It doesn't come from another person. It doesn't come from external achievements. It doesn't come from me getting my doctorate or whatever, having the experience that I have. And so what happens in relationships, I noticed in relationships, is you can put all this pressure on a relationship and not realize you are, because you're used to being with a narcissist. And so one, you can draw narcissists into your life that will reject you or accept you, or, try to keep you at arm's length, or whatever they're trying to do. It doesn't matter. Because the more you develop presence, you free yourself from all of that. So that's why it doesn't matter. But when you're in the middle of it, you have learned, like I had learned, I'll just speak from my own experience. I had learned, and I didn't realize this, a lot of this came to me last night and this morning. I had learned that to put, oh, see, I have this, you are worth it. You are worth it. I had learned to put my worth, see, I hear an Oasis song. Please don't put your life in the hands of a rock and roll band, and throw it all away, however it goes, And so I had learned, because it benefited a narcissist to have my worth in his hands. Let's say, for me, I experienced my father as this, but I'm not disparaging him or whatever. This unconscious for him. This is a person that doesn't know or didn't know his own worth when I was a child, and that's when I was imprinted upon. So I put my worth in his hands. He's telling me if you are worth loving or not, by his actions of rejecting me or having closeness or offering closeness, or my mom's ability to do that. And my mom and dad's ability to have intimacy with me has nothing to do with my worth. But if I'm a person that craves closeness and craves intimacy, and then my parents that I'm being imprinted upon don't know how to give that to me, I feel like there's something wrong with me. And this is, again, unconscious as a child. It feels like there's something wrong with us, or else they would give this to us, because obviously this is something we need. And why aren't they giving it to us? And so then we can be drawn to other people that don't have the capacity to give it to us either, because they haven't developed presence, and they haven't developed the ability or to be in intimacy too. They're afraid of it just as much as of our parents, or they're in their unconscious, or they're living in ego. And when you live in ego, intimacy burns away ego. So this is a shortcut. I love it. And not just physical intimacy, not like, hey, let's get naked, because people do that. Sorry to just put it so bluntly. People do that. I see that a lot. And they think that that's going to bring them the intimacy that they want and that they're craving. And so I understand that too, because that was a trigger for me the other night, is just like, just this possibility of closeness with someone, though, that obviously I wasn't close with yet. Like, and that's getting a little more personal, but it's I understand the appeal, because if you want intimacy, the people will jump into that, and they think that that's going to bring them the closeness they've always wanted. And that can actually, there's a lot of facets to that. But if you're just building up ego and you don't build up presence, then it can get you more entangled and entrapped in this cycle that I'm about to share with you about talk to you about. Is so when you get your worth from a narcissist, the narcissist likes regulating that, because then they unconsciously, again, they feel more power from you being dependent on them. Okay, so this is all about freedom. All of this is about freedom and presence and knowing your real soul self, getting aligned with your authentic self. There's a lot of different ways to describe what this is. I hear it's still a scripture verse, because I grew up with this too. It is for freedom that Christ has set you free. So be free indeed, right? And so it's about actually learning how to free yourself and not pretend like I'm free. Like I use that example of Joe Theismann, the football player. Like one time I heard this in one of my classes, a philosophy class. He broke his leg and his thigh was sticking out. And he's like, it's not like he's saying, oh, look, my leg is free. It can go in all these directions. Just being able to go in all directions and do whatever I want doesn't make me free. I can actually be enslaving myself more to my ego and to just one part of me that's expressing, this is what I need, and it's like, well, if I felt like I just needed chocolate because that gave me the chemical that made me feel better, and I just did that all the time, and I didn't exercise and I didn't have a balanced life, then I would, I could just get stuck in this chair, because you guys know I've lost a lot of weight, but because I could just sit here and eat all day long. That's not how I was before at all. It was an interior thing that was going on. Anyway, I won't go into all of these outshoots of this. Is what happens in relationships is you can meet someone and then you get triggered. It depends on how well, like if you feel like you've known this person before, or there's a kindred spirit, or they're similar to your parents or whatever. Sometimes there's a quicker way that we can put all of our stuff on. Some people just do this automatically in relationships, but we can put all of our stuff onto someone else. And so let's see. What I'm talking about is when you meet someone, and if they are familiar, which is like your family of origin, which is like, for me, my dad has written like 100 books. He was on TV shows and stuff. He's been on radio. He's been, he's very charismatic. And so I could meet someone that seems very charismatic and seems like they're going to be very close to you. And then they don't really know about intimacy. They just know of their idea of intimacy or their playing of intimacy because they don't have a deep presence and consciousness in them developed. And so they think they're offering intimacy as well. And you're all buying into it. And at first, when you meet someone, you could have this great loving feeling towards, and all these chemicals are released in your body, like oxytocin or whatever. And so it makes it feel like you're falling in love or whatever. And then though, if you put your sense of worth, your identity, the more you don't know your own authentic self because you've pushed that part of yourself down because you haven't been this free, open, live, wild person that you are this individual person, and you haven't been acting according to her or him, then you can put your worth in this other person and what they think of you. And when they reject you, you get all confused because you thought you knew your worth. And for me, like, I know my worth, and I knew my worth before. Just there was some old thing in childhood that still wasn't healed. And so I've met some people, and you guys have known, I went through like this ego death in Patmos and some different levels of ego death before that, where I got triggered by like the ghosting experience and by other things, where it was like, wait a second, what happened? I knew my worth, I had my worth. And then I got into this repetition thing from childhood where I thought to love someone is to give them, the definition of your worth. And that's way too much pressure on another person. And that's not for them to have anyway. And the narcissist craves that and wants it. So you could meet people that want you to do that. That's fine if they want you to. It doesn't matter. You don't do it. Don't fall for that. Don't take the hook. And what I teach and what I'm going to coach people about and what I teach as a psychologist is how to not take that hook, how to go back and develop your own deep sense of presence and your I am self. I took a class. I don't know if I took the class. I signed up for the class on the 7 I ams of Christ. I think I did. I took a bunch of Zoom classes. But anyway, my same teacher teaches that. And so it's like there are different I ams that he's saying. And that, anyway, Christ teaches you presence. He teaches you, among all sorts of other things, higher consciousness. But the essential thing that I wanted to convey in this message, and not make it so heady, is, because I was in a lot of pain this past weekend, and I had enough presence finally. This is the first time that I've had enough presence where I let myself cry on a deeper level and feel my feelings. And now again, I feel lighter because I wasn't allowing myself to feel the feelings before, because I didn't have a container for me to feel those feelings. Because why feel those feelings if they're just going to make you be rejected more? Because if you feel them and you feel like you're going to be worthless to the narcissist, if you're not inflated like the narcissist and look glamorous or whatever like the narcissist, then you are not worth anything to that person. They're using you as an ego prop, to prop up their ego. And so you have to either completely be needy for them or be at your best and perform well so that they keep valuing you. And so there was something where I couldn't feel these sad, deep feelings that were locked inside me. Now they're released, I'm not saying I'm perfect or anything, but I had these heavy feelings that were trapped in me. And now that I was able to feel them, I released them. And but I wasn't able to go into those places and feel them before, because that's like facing death, because going into those feelings makes you worthless to the narcissist. And they teach you how to derive your worth. Your sense of worth is centered around how they estimate you. And so on the flip side of this, though, one thing that I noticed that I was really, really, really happy to notice that I learned this morning is that when you keep doing that to people, whether they ask you to put your worth in their hands or not, subconsciously, so that they get a sense of power and they feel like they're doing something in their life. I'm regulating these 10 people's sense of worth by my rejection or acceptance of them, I'm like, look at all these hearts, see? It's like on, off, on, off. I just found this the other day. It happened to be sitting on my desk, but you are always love. You're the shining love, like the sun. And they have no power over this, but they have the power that we give them. If I believe that idea that that person is in charge of my worth, and if they reject me, then I'm worthless. If they accept me, then I have all this worth. That's ridiculous. That's like if I'm look at the sun and I say the sun is shining, or the sun's not shining. It is shining regardless of whether I say it is or not. If you're a person that believes me and trust that I'm saying the sun is not shining and it's out there and it's shining, then you're following a lie, and it's sad. And life will give you an opportunity to correct that lie that you've taken in, because life will reflect back to you through pain or through other experiences of arriving at truth that is not true. And so my worth has nothing to do with these other people defining me. And through pain, I have got to learn these lessons on a deeper and deeper level. But the thing I was going to say that I learned is that when you unconsciously again look to another person because you thought I learned that people want to be in charge of your worth. It is all subconscious, but this is what I was seeing this morning. When you do that, there's all this pressure on the other person to hold up your worth as well. And so you're kind of becoming this reverse narcissist. And it's like I can't get too personal about other people's stuff, but if I am like, I don't know how to say this in a different way. Let's figure out, like, if there's a giraffe at the zoo, I don't know, I keep thinking, and the giraffe keeps saying, like, does he like me? Does he like me? Does he like me? Or does he not like me? Or whatever. No, I'm kidding. I ought to just use my own examples. Is if I kept deriving my worth, like I was talking about, I entered into this dating app experience. Oh my gosh, so weird. It's so weird, but I'm meeting new people, and that part's really cool because I value each person that I get the chance to interact with on whatever level I get to interact with them. But if my worth was dependent on these other people, then it's like I'm using them to uphold my worth. And there's all this pressure and this feeling of manipulation, even though I didn't know I was doing it, that they better, that person better, or that person better, or that person, or all these people at once better. Like if I'm a model, then I better get all these good comments about my modeling or about my singing or whatever performance. And so it's like, if I'm depending on all these other people to get my worth, they feel that ickiness. They feel the pressure. I don't know about ickiness, but it's this pressure that like they have to give you good comments or they have to tell you what a beautiful model you are. If you're confident, you're just like, I got this going on, and I know my worth, and I'm just going to sing because I feel like singing. And I'm going to put this on my YouTube channel because I'm modeling to people how to follow their intuition and how to get in deep states of of joy and of expression, and even imperfect expression or whatever, then people feel that there's not that pressure and they don't have to give you any feedback, and you're not depending on their valuation of you at all. And so this is what I'm teaching you, is just how to free yourself in relationships so you're a more free agent in a relationship, so you're not dependent on the other person for anything, and you're not dependent, your worth is not dependent on anything else, but learning how to stay in presence. When you get in presence, I know those could be just words, but as you get more in your being state instead of your doing state, you learn more about your true worth. You have more capacity to feel whatever feelings are there and not be worried, and to see darker thoughts or whatever thoughts are there and not feel like, for me, I was so scared to go there because I thought if I went to a dark place, there wasn't going to be a way for me to get out. And now that I have more presence, I can go there and I can see, and I'm like, oh, I'm not worried about my dark thoughts, because my dark thoughts of like these sad people where their lives are gone now, they're not here, people that were here a few weeks ago. I just feel like if we develop this deeper sense of presence, then you're going to know your worth on such a deeper level than the surface level. And so when all these things fall apart on the surface level, like we are isolated, or people put us down on social media, or people misunderstand us and don't connect with us on an intimate level, as we grow in intimacy with ourselves, I can look at that and be like, oh, I want to escape from this pain of being rejected from my father, because I felt like that was my only sense of worth. And you want to escape from that. And to escape from that is to not be here anymore, or to go to the moon, or whatever it is. That's the mentality. But to escape from that is to know your real worth. Once you develop presence in your being self, you can know your real worth on a level you never knew before, that has nothing to do with where you derived your worth as a child and where you didn't realize you were deriving your worth as a child. It comes from a deeper place. Like, I have an old ancient icon of Christ that's staring at me right now, And so with love, I feel love because I've prayed a lot and just stared in that face and asked for help, It represents the real essence of who I experience Christ as. You don't have to have my same faith practice. But anyway, you get to know your worth from a deeper place. And when that happens, it's like, oh, I never have to, I hope to God, have those dark experiences again where I feel like I'm not going to be able to escape from the pain of being completely rejected and having a mistaken identity, having your identity wrapped up in that. That's not your true identity. No one else gets to define that. And no one else gets to define that for me. And so I just encourage you to get in presence, and all my videos teach about that. And I wish you so much love from my heart.